If you've never cooked before, standing in a kitchen can feel incredibly intimidating. You're staring down a counter full of pristine equipment, completely paralyzed. A lot of people will tell you that to fix this, you need to buy massive, expensive cookbooks, sign up for specialized classes, or even go into debt for culinary school. But objectively speaking, cooking is just the science and craft of using heat to make food digestible, safe to eat, or occasionally a crispy heart attack on a plate. Learning your way around a kitchen starts with incredibly low expectations. The false expectation of day one perfection stops more cooks than a lack of formal training ever will. If you want to learn for free, the absolute most effective method is to fall down a massive rabbit hole of watching other people cook online. Observational learning shows you the logic behind the actions. You get to hear a cook explain exactly why they are doing something, rather than blindly following a list of instructions on a page. If you only use written recipes, you'll end up being that person who claims they can cook anything as long as they have instructions, which is a bit like saying you can make tomato soup as long as someone hands you the can. Watching others is also how you pick up critical physical safety skills. You see how to use the claw grip to chop vegetables, why keeping your knife sharp stops you from slipping, and how to open metal cans without slicing your hand on the lid. You also absorb the foundational habits. You learn to salt and taste as you go, how to adjust the burner to avoid burning your food, and why dragging a metal spatula across a non-stick pan is a terrible idea. Watching others cook defines the unwritten boundaries of the kitchen, teaching you the difference between an acceptable technique and a dangerous mistake. Once you step up to the counter, you might think you need a $500 matching pan set to get started. You really don't. Oddly enough, the most critical tools you need to buy are simply containers. You need a ridiculous amount of them to hold your ingredients, prepped vegetables, and leftovers. When it comes to your knife, the price tag is irrelevant. What is absolutely mandatory is keeping the edge sharp, because a sharp blade requires less force and keeps you safe. You should also invest in a large, heavy wooden cutting board. Not only does it give you plenty of space to work, but if you're cooking for one, it doubles as an excellent plate. And when it's time to stock up on food, ignore anyone who tells you how to build a perfect pantry. Your ingredients should be entirely dictated by your own daily diet. For instance, if you eat a massive amount of rice every week, your number one hardware priority should simply be a rice cooker. The same goes for your cooking fats. If you're French, you'll lean heavily on butter. But if you're Gordon Ramsay, you're going to practically drown absolutely everything in a rich, silky bath of olive oil. A truly functional kitchen is never built from a universal one-size-fits-all checklist. It happens when you tailor your gear and your ingredients to your own personal survival needs. Before touching a single ingredient, read the entire recipe from start to finish. This animated diagram breaks down how you should look at a standard list of ingredients. You split the recipe into two distinct columns: structural chemistry and flavor and texture. Structural components like flour and baking powder must be strictly measured, but for flavor and texture, rules disappear. Spices and herbs don't need exact measurements. You can eyeball them. Treating a recipe as a flexible guide rather than a rigid scientific law is the exact mental shift you need to make to truly learn how to cook. There's one final, hidden hurdle in the kitchen: your own patience. Beginners almost always have the urge to crank the stove to maximum heat just to make the food cook faster. Rushing the heat leads to obvious physical consequences. Best case scenario, you end up serving slightly charred food. Worst case, you add a little bit of color to the walls of your house by starting a fire. Let's look at this graph tracking the ultimate beginner trap, the weekly energy burnout cycle. It usually starts with a wave of hubris after you successfully make a simple batch of rice and beans on Monday. Feeling confident, you plan a massively complex gourmet meal for Tuesday. That single effort completely drains your reserves, and by Thursday, your energy crashes straight into a bowl of instant oatmeal. To avoid this burnout, you have to build in practical safety nets. You can meal prep, cook large batches of food at once so you have leftovers, and keep instant microwavable meals on standby. And when you have absolutely zero energy left, remember the lowest effort safety net of all. A bowl of cereal and milk is technically a complete meal. Sustained cooking relies on energy management and survival, accepting that on exhausting days, cereal is a complete sentence.